My name is Lorin. I love to doof, obviously. I'm an intermediate veteran of the doof world. I run my own doofs. The whole experience of doofing is illogical. Like, there's not much logic here. Like,
What do you think makes a good bush doof?
why the fuck would you do that? Tribe Ascension is probably my favorite doof at the moment. I only see them at doofs, and I fucking love them. I connect with them with the doof. I'm not going to see them outside, but I love them in here. And if you do that enough, then that's what it is. It's a unique space, but people getting too cooked. I didn't like psytrance when I first heard it, and now I don't want to dance to anything else, really.
Welcome to Solo Professor Music. We are transmitting from Art Valley Festival New Year's Eve 2023-2024. Brother, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Misha. Yeah, my name is Lorin. A little bit about myself. I mean, I love to doof, obviously, as everybody here does. I have been doofing for a long time now. I mean, maybe not as long as some people, you know. Some people, veterans like Rob Mack, are around 30 years or so. So I'm compared to him, I'm a young spring chicken. But you know, I guess I'm an intermediate veteran of the doof world, you could say. Been doofing for a long time. Also helped out in a lot of different events in a lot of different ways, and eventually got into running my own doofs. So I ran my own doofs, you know, over like the period of about 3 years. I've also been involved as a DJ and a promoter, and now also running this dome space, the Icosa dome space behind us as well. So kind of been involved in a bunch of different areas in the doof scene. You know, I love this scene, and yeah, it's given me so much over the years. So that's a little kind of intro about me, I guess. Yeah.
Thanks. So when was your first doof, and do you remember which one it was?
Yeah, it's a good question. I try to think about that often, actually. I do think I have a memory of going to it. You know, I don't remember what it was called, but I do remember like the whole process. You know, we met these. I was living in Newtown at the time. We met these people, kind of like you know, spontaneously, like a group of girls, and there was me and some guys, and then you know, one thing led to another, and then they were saying, "Hey guys, there's this party. Do you want to come to? It's out in the forest." I was like, "What the hell? Like in the forest? That sounds like what? Like you know, I don't think I'd even been camping. I had been camping, doing like treks and stuff, you know, with friends at school, but beyond that, like I hadn't really, you know, done any parties in the bush." And I remember driving up, and just like that whole experience of going to your first doof, it was like that, like. You know, where the hell am I? I'm in the middle of the bush, you know, feeling like everything is just like I'm in the middle of nowhere. You know, what if I get lost? Like, you know, had no idea like what I should be like taking with me. Like, am I just going to be drinking like alcohol, like whatever? And also, you know, arriving there, just thinking, what the hell? This music is the craziest shit I've ever heard. And it was a dark side kind of doof. So, you know, it wasn't so easily accessible for someone that's never listened to that kind of music before. I just remember just so many lights. You know, it was a great experience. But for me, it was all very well overwhelming. The music was overwhelming. The people were overwhelming. The going out to the bush was overwhelming. I didn't have any kind of good like camping setup. I think I just had a Kmart tent and no mattress, and maybe like a jumper as a pillow. And yeah, that whole experience was just like, oh, that was a bit crazy. Like I don't know if I enjoy that. You know, that was my first doof anyway. So
When was it?
When was it? It would have been maybe, let's say, if I was to guess, around 2008. Something like that. Yeah, maybe 2009. Yeah.
And your involvement as a DJ, what is your DJ name, and what kind of music you play mostly?
Well, I was involved in promoting in the trance music scene. Like when I say trance, I mean vocal trance, uplifting trance, commercial trance scene for a while. I made a Facebook group for that style of music called Trance Music Appreciation Society. Got very big. It's at around 38,000 members now. And so I had experience with promoting for festivals and attending festivals and club shows and whatever with that for a good few years already. And through that, I got the experience and the opportunities to start DJing. And then as I got more and more into doofing and psytrance, those focus shifted into more of the outdoor psytrance party world as well. And so then I started DJing at a few psytrance club nights with Louis Rossi, actually, if you know Louis. Yeah, he kind of was one of the first people that helped me run events and help me to DJ, actually. So yeah, shout out to Louis Rossi. If you're reading this, man, you actually were one of the first people that sort of believed in me and brought me in. Zach Slade was another one. If you know Zach Slade, he was a legend from used to run a lot of parties back in the day under Hypnotic, I think was his brand. That whole exposure to the doof scene, so by this time I was going to a lot of events and I was starting to DJ as well. So I was DJing for a while under the name Cosmic Chaos, and I was DJing what you could say as melodic prog. So if you think of artists like Static Movement, Digicult, who else, like Neelix, I love all that stuff. However, in terms of I've taken a hiatus from DJing now because I'm just trying to pick my battles. And one thing I've noticed is if I try to take on too much creatively, I'm just going to burn out. So doing this dome stuff has been the main focus of my thing at doofing for a while. So I've just been sticking with that for now and not DJing, but I am thinking about getting back into DJing, but under a different name, which I haven't quite decided on yet. And then I'm going to be playing more faster, dancier stuff. Because what I've realized is I come from a trance music background. I love the trancey, euphoric, like beautiful melodies. Like imagine Faxe, Morton Grinnell, kind of like beautiful, dancing melodies that give you those goosebumps. I love that stuff. But what I've actually realized is that the experience of doofing mainly is like people aren't coming here to listen, they're coming here to dance, which is more about the bass, the low end, moving your body. And so that's what I'm starting to realize. Okay, listening music is for listening, dancing music is for dancing. And like if I'm gonna DJ in this, what I want to facilitate is the experience of people actually moving their bodies, which means like a higher BPM, more repetitive, like more dancey basically. Yeah. So yeah.
So with this new DJ name, you will be playing different music. What kind of music will it be then?
So it's gonna be, let's say, it's somewhere between prog and full on. So it's like I would say, it's not quite full on. I love full on, but that's not the style I want to play. It's more, it's somewhere between slightly slower and less intense full on. There's still got a melody which captures your mind. I'm always going to have that because I just love the melodies. But it's going to be maybe that around like 142 BPM, more melodic, slightly progressive kind of beat, but then a bit more like flowy and melodic, a bit less energy than full on basically. Yeah.
Well, looking forward to see you play under your new name, and hopefully the name will be transmitted to you by the universe through someone, maybe me, hopefully, and you will be able to choose your second project name.
Yeah, hopefully a guy can walk up to me at a doof and be like, "Hey," and then that's that could be my DJ name, because that's actually what happened between me and you. We were just talking and. At this event 6 months ago, I gave him the idea for the name.
1 year ago, actually, the last New Year's.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. New Year's 1 year ago, I gave him I accidentally gave him the name of Liquid Professor, because he's called Solid Professor. You know, I just kind of like started making a joke. Was like, hey, so are you in your liquid state right? Are you in your solid state right now, or are you know, when you get a bit loose, do you get into your liquid state? And then he was saying, well, actually, now I think about it, I've been looking for another name, for another alias, for like, you know, techno stuff, yeah, Liquid Professor kind of actually suits kind of well. It was just a funny little moment that stuck, you know. So yeah, it's a cool story.
Yeah, no, amazing. Thank you for that. So you said you've been involved in organizing the events. How did you get into that, and why and when? Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that was a pretty crazy time of my life. You know, COVID kicked off at around 2020, early 2020. You know, March, April, whatever. I had some friends, some Iranian friends who I always used to party with them, and you know, we were all bored during the COVID lockdown, and I think there was a bit of a break after the first one, and then my friend said, hey, when are we going to throw a party together, you know, because we always used to like to party together, and then they're like, when are you going to throw a party together? And I'm like, well, you know, like I don't know, like, well, let's just see what we can do. So, you know, we went to Buzz Speaker Hire, we hired a bunch of speakers. Our stage was literally one of those like circular dome gazebos, like a, you know, a 3-meter like circular dome gazebo, some lights, everything we bought ourselves, and it was donation only as well. So yeah, that was our first experience. It was awesome, and because people had really been bottling up obviously all their stress and energy from COVID, you know, it was a real release. And obviously intimate parties are always great, so yeah, the fact that everyone's, I guess, brains were rested and they were ready to party, had a lot of energy, really added to the initial fun of those parties. So we ran our first one, donation only. That went really well, like had a lot of fun, you know, everyone really enjoyed it. And then we were like, okay, let's do another one. So we did another one. I teamed up with another guy, Charbel is his name. I don't know if you know him, Charbel, techno DJ. Maybe runs Beirut's, no? Maybe you'll see him around. But yeah, he, I'd known him. He played at my first event, and then I said, hey, let's collaborate. He's got a crowd, I've got a crowd. He's into house and techno, I'm into psytrance. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So we collaborated. Second party went really well. There was more people. You could actually buy tickets this time instead of just donation. And yeah, the people coming to that, you know, had a great time. It rained a lot, so we had a big marquee set up, you know, like, let's say, I don't know, 13-meter marquee under the stage, which was lucky. So that was the stage area, and then, you know, just a little bit of a stage front and some speakers. Yeah, that was good fun. It was a different crowd. That gave me an exposure to the fun and excitement of having other genres at psytrance events, well, at bush parties, that aren't just psytrance and techno. So like, you know, like melodic house, drum and bass, what else, like you know, someone played a garage set. Like, we just had a bit of everything in there. And that kind of set the theme for the rest of the illogical. So as we grew, you know, the third illogical was in the Blue Mountains. We had a bit more production. We started working with JJ from Dynamic Audio Visual in Canberra. Like, big shout out to him. He was a great help to us, helping us grow, really like looked after us, you know, gave us his not just like help with all of his production stuff, but with his experience and his knowledge. he helped us really just grow and do everything a bit more professionally. So, you know, we started to get a bit of projection mapping, some basic shapes for some projection mapping under a marquee. A Logical 4, we stepped it up to doing it on a private property for the first time, and that was a big step up. Obviously something I always wanted to do. Yeah, running it on a private property. That one, obviously, every doof has its challenges. That one had some crazy hills inside that you had to drive down to get to the dance floor to like put equipment there. It was definitely the first bigger operation, and by this point, you know, we're getting up to like 400, 450 tickets sold. It's getting up there, you know, same size as this, right? This time we had a truss tunnel stage with lights in the middle, and then a projected eye. So that was kind of like, looked like a rave tunnel in the bush. That was awesome. We maxed out the capacity of the campsite at around, you know, 500 people. It was very cozy, it was very intimate, but yeah, and I continued the theme of putting heaps of music on there. So if you can imagine melodic house, you know, melodic house, what else? Like happy hardcore, like just everything, you know, because I love all types of music, and like I just wanted to do something different as well, because there's so many doofs I've been to that's just hammering dark side into your brain for days and days. Or high tech or whatever, and like obviously like whatever floats your boat, but for me, you know, I like some of the stuff that like just floaty, gives your mind something to just like float away to, you know. So yeah, that was really good fun. Then we had 2 more parties. So we did a party over New Year's, which was a Logical 4.5, because long story short, we were going to do a Logical 5 at this one property. I won't go into all the technical sort of legal stuff, but basically we weren't able to do it at that time, so we had to postpone a Logical 5 to another time. Then we had to do a backup party, so we did a backup party down in Canberra. We moved everything to this beautiful site called Kalula Farm, which is where the last safari was actually. We did a party there, you know, it was really fun. There was a river, we had 2 little stages. Everyone loved that one simply because there was a river and a stage next to the river, and people just sit all day in the heat but in the river, and that contrast of being in the river while it's hot was so beautiful. And then that brings us to the last one, which was a Logical 5, which we held near Canberra. You know, that one was great fun. Awesome, like really stepped up the production game, had, you know, a full Martin sound system, line array, which sounded fucking good. And then we had LED screens in the stage. So all of that stuff, you know, we started working with more people as we go as well. So I was working with Noel and the Visumotus crew, who were amazing for doing the visuals and the projection and you know, printing out the stage, you know, facade or whatever as well. So everything was slowly expanding. By this time, you know, like when it was scheduled for New Year's, we were selling like you know, 700 tickets or so. We did then have to refund at about, I don't know, 150 people or something when it got postponed. There was a lot to think about. There was a lot of stresses at the time, but it was slowly growing. But it kind of got to a certain point where I was like, you know, we can't just push this as being a private party on private property anymore, because if, you know, this council come and they start, you know, saying, hey, what are you doing here? You know, maybe you guys should get a DA. You know, there's a lot of stuff, like it's a grey area, a lot of boxes that need to be ticked. So that was kind of a crossroads for me. And then at the time, my interests were moving back into, you know, some other stuff in my personal life, which is like the spirituality and stuff like that. So I then went to India for a while, and that was just a break from everything and a reset, and then just a realignment. And then so when I came back from that, you know, I was living in an ashram in India doing spiritual practices for like 6 months. And then when I came back, I had a chance to reset, and then I've put the events, you know, running events on a hiatus, on the back burner at the moment. And now just running this modular dome space, which has been a much healthier, for me, way of getting involved. Like, we've got a crew we come along, we set up the dome, we do our thing, we pack up and we leave, you know, and that feels like a good middle ground where we can still have fun but still bring something creative to the doof space. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Yeah.
So with the illogical events, why did you call it illogical? What does it mean, or how did that name come?
There's this spiritual teacher who I follow actually, and he always talks about how he uses the word illogical a lot to describe like the spiritual state or the state of love, you know. Like love in its purest form is actually an illogical feeling. So there's no true love, not interpersonal love between, you know, you and a partner, but, you know, a more universal state of love, like just love in general. It is an illogical state. It's not something you can really like explain in a logical way. Like you can talk about it in a chemical perspective or whatever, but in reality it is illogical. And then the other reason I came up with the name was because you could say the same in parallel about doofing in general. Like the whole experience of doofing is illogical. Like there's not much logic here. Like you've got the logic of, you know, the organization, the organizers, and, you know, whatever, that's the foundation, but the actual experience that most people are having is devoid from logic, and you're getting illogical in the bush for, you know, for a while. So that's kind of what it was all about, you know. Like this whole experience is illogical. Like let's go into the bush, leave all that logic behind, because we're overly logical. People are overly logical in their daily lives. That's one of the biggest problems. Everything has to fit into a logical definition and an observation and a judgment of something. So it's like, you know, come into the bush and get illogical, because that's what makes us happy. Yeah.
So what is the future of illogical events?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, I've been toying with the idea of getting back into events again, but I mean, there's just a lot of stress and risk and things that people do not see, you know, behind these events. Like people just do not see them. Like everyone comes here as a punter, they have a good time, they set up their tents, like everything's cool. But then, you know, like basically you're not seeing the organizer running around being like, okay, someone's stuck in a ditch, tow him out. This girl, you know, is having a vertigo attack, which I saw at an event last weekend. You know, she's not feeling good, when she needs a certain type of medication, you know, or like, all kinds of problems. Like somebody is, you know, just like can't handle their current state. They need to be like, you know, like rested, just calm them down. You know, or like, oh, we haven't sold enough tickets, you know, now we have to either, you know, downsize the event, or we have to like, you know, cut some corners, or you know, we don't want to not pay anyone, but like, you know, you just got to find a way to go around that. Yeah, underground doofs have their own unique challenges compared to big commercial, you know, council encouraged events, let's say. So what do I want to do with Illogical? I loved running events, and it was a big, like the creative satisfaction you get from running a doof and seeing all these people here are here because of me. Your happiness is my happiness right now. It's the best feeling in the world. There's no other high like it, you know. And that's why people do it, because if you look at all the other metrics, it's like, why the fuck would you do it? I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this, but, you know, why the fuck would you do that? Because it is absolutely, like, it's insane. Like, in terms of when you look at, like, you know, the profit in it, you look at, like, you know, you look at the uncertainty, you look at the financial risk, you know, the legal risk, everything, you know. It's just like, it's a crazy, you have to be crazy to do it. But you have to really have that passion for like making people have a good time, because ultimately that passion has to be stronger than the logical, like, kind of, you know, I guess, rationale, business sense. Like, and don't get me wrong, some people, you know, can be much more organized with it as well. So it all depends on that too. So I mean, yeah, like it's creative fulfillment in its highest form, but at the same time, it's a huge, like, you know, physical burden in terms of the amount of admin and creative work that you have to do. But yeah, so it's a workload thing. You've got to have a good crew. You've got to have a lot of people who know what they're doing working for you. And it also depends. If you want to go and do a big commercial festival, that's a whole nother thing. And I got to the crossroads with my party where it was like, okay, now I'm going to have to go, you know, I'm either going to have to go smaller or just do something different, or I'm going to have to go up to the big level and, you know, start like being like, you know, getting the DAs. I was already starting to speak to someone who was, you know, gets DAs over the line for different events, big events, like some of the biggest in Australia for those doofs and stuff. And I started looking into the process. It's not that bad, but it's just, you know, New South Wales especially, there's a lot of red tape you got to go through. So, you know, those are my hesitations. Like, I'd love to do it again, just as much as I'd love to get straight back into DJing. Even production I was doing for a while, you know, but I got to pick my battles. You know, what is my highest calling in this life? I'm also really into spirituality and meditation and spiritual community, and also conscious and sober events such as Love Fest and things like that. I've started going to those as well, you know. So yeah, my interests are like going in a few different directions, and I think ultimately I'm probably just going to find a balance between all of the things I like to do for a while. But running events it's an all or nothing thing, you know. It's an all or nothing thing. So I can put my energy into it and start doing it, but I can't half do it. Because if you half do a party, you're not going to get a party like this. This party, like, it's like, you know, like the amount of work that these guys do is just crazy. Like building a whole friggin' trail up to the crew camping area, like putting lights up on those cliffs, like, you know, like they've done a few parties here, so it's a well-oiled machine, and, you know, shout out to them because they've done an amazing job. But yeah, it's just a huge commitment. Yeah, so we'll see. All I can say at this stage is I just need to explore what's happening, what do I want to do in my life, and just feel it out, you know. Like, I've had a hiatus from doofing for a while, and then I come back and I do 3 doofs in December, and I remember, damn, like this is why I love this. I just, this is what I live for, you know, these experiences, these moments, this laughter, these people, like, this is what I'm here for, you know. This is it. It does have its downsides as well, you know, but everything does. But you know, it's pretty close to like a fantasy land that you could imagine, I guess. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. That's all I can say. That's all I can promise at this stage is I just got to feel it out.
So what do you think makes a good bush doof? And second part of the question is, what is the most important component in a doof, you think?
Right. Look, I think you go to a bunch of different doofs and they all have their own things that they've obviously put more attention into. Like, first thing is the site. I mean, yeah, a good site can make or break a doof. Private properties are obviously, like, in my opinion, they're way better. A lot of people prefer bush sites, and that's obviously cool. Like, it's nice to be really in the bush anyway, in like a completely, like, a, you know, public bush area. So the site is a big one. I think like, what I realized when I was running parties is it's not about one big thing, it's about lots of small things that make up the experience. So like over there, you've got a bit of decor, like, you know, just in the middle as people walk down, you know. You've got lighting on the main stage, you know, like lighting down, and the patrons are making it easy to see. You know, you've got so many good visual touches, like lights on the cliff behind the dance floor, and you've got like you know, LED screens behind. Like, it's, you know, it's like a really well-oiled machine. So So those things, like, you know, obviously production wise and everything, really help. The crowd that you attract as well is really, really good. So one of the things I think that's good about growing a doof slowly and organically is going to be the crowd. I've noticed a bunch of bigger doofs that just try to go really big, and what happens is, in order to meet a huge budget, you've got to spread the marketing net really wide, and that just opens the door to like a lot of people that have not been to a doof before. Now, don't get me wrong, there's heaps of people that haven't been to doofs at this one before, but the majority is seasoned veterans, you know. Like, I was speaking to this 20-year-old girl last night, you know. She said it's a second doof, you know. And she said, oh, I feel like the youngest people here, everybody seems to be doing this for so long. And if someone like that comes into this environment, they're going to get nurtured, shown the way, whatever. But if it's like a big kind of commercial like operation, you know, not just doof, but anything else, like even the hybrid doofs, like, I don't know, I mean, I'm not gonna name names of other doofs, but basically, any big doof that is spreading the marketing net wide in order to fulfill like a big like commitment is gonna attract a whole bunch of people that maybe just don't have they're not completely on the wavelength, or, you know, they will just like won't look after themselves. That's one of the biggest things, you know. You want to like speak to those people who are just like they get it, they've been doing it for a while, you know. I can think back to some, you know, bigger commercial doofs that I went to, like Babylon, for example, was I feel like a good example of that. I don't think they're still running anymore, but that one was, you know, it had its it definitely had, you know, some of that I was talking about. And then also what was the other one? What was it? Babylon, and I can't remember, but there was a few of them which I went to. Well, Earthcore, don't get me wrong, I loved Earthcore, but when I went to Earthcore in Victoria, like, there was a lot more like kind of like posery Instagram, like, you know, really like glammed up like people, like just like taking Instagram photos, and like, you know, there's nothing wrong with dressing up nicely and taking an Instagram photo, but it was just like a bit much, you know, that whole thing. And there's just a different energy between different types of crowds, I guess. So those are all factors. And then I would say, yeah, the crowd, I mean the site, yeah, those are probably the main things that I can think of: the production, the crowd, and the site. And also running an event more and more times, getting smoother with it, getting a better crowd, and then trying to refine the crowd, and the music, obviously, as well, the music. So, but that's all subjective, so you can't really comment on what music is better or what's not, you know. So yeah.
Have you been to Bush Doofs overseas? And if yes, where?
Yes, I've been to one, which was Boom Festival 2018. That was a pretty life-changing kind of experience. Like, yeah, Boom Festival shows you what this can be like, taken to the max level in terms of like scale. Like, it's like I think 40,000 people in the Portuguese desert, a massive lake, a train that drives you around the festival because it's so big, a supermarket with the shade sales inside the supermarket with checkouts, they play psytrance, a food court. Just the food court area with the shades where you could eat is like, oh God, I don't know, 50 meters long, something like that. And what else? I reckon in terms of food stalls, there must have been like 30 to 50 food stalls. And then like 5 stages. And one stage at a festival like that is like is like a main stage at an Australian doof, and there's like 5 of them, and it's just fucking crazy. Like, yeah, and also the other thing is you're seeing people from all over the world, like doofers from all over the world, a bunch of Australians as well, but you're seeing, you know, the Eastern Europeans, you're seeing the South Africans, you know, you're seeing a lot of Israelis, you're seeing the Brazilians, the Portuguese and the Spanish, obviously, because it's in Portugal. Just crazy, you know, it's just crazy. The energy, but also at the same time, like, it doesn't feel like an Australian doof, you know. An Australian doof, look around, you know everyone, they speak the same language, you know, so yeah, they're very different experiences, but you can't match the energy of a festival of that scale, you know what I mean? But obviously some people, like, they prefer some of the, like, darker, more foresty music, so then you go to, like, Modem, or, you know, some people prefer the real, like, dark, high-tech stuff, so you can go to Master of Puppets or something like that. So there's a lot out there, yeah.
What, do you have the best doof your favorite doof that you've been, that comes to mind?
Yeah, I've got a few that come to mind. Like, in terms of recent ones, for sure, Tribe Ascension is probably my favorite doof at the moment. We were at that 2 weeks ago. That was so wholesome. Like, have you? Yeah, you've been, of course. I saw you there. Tribe Ascension is, you know, what Johnny Stav has done is he's created a doof which is like conscious, like fun activities and workshops, and, you know, ceremony, and, you know, Aboriginal, you know, ceremonies and talks, and there's a real focus, like, more on the actual community side of things, which makes it feel even more that it's just not a party, but it's an actual, like, let's work on ourselves as well as party, you know. And that to me is like, it's the way, you know, you got to do both, you know, you got to do both. And just the people there are so lovely. I feel like I know everyone when I go there. A lot of Canberra crew, you know, so shout out to the Canberra boys, you know, a lot of cool people in that scene in Canberra. And then also from the past years, I mean, Dragon Dreaming and Safari, obviously 2 of the big ones. Safari was one of my early ones. Safari was a game changer for me. Just the first of, also Cyland, actually. I believe you went to Cyland, didn't you? Yeah. Cyland, one of the early doofs, opened my eyes to, wow, they can do this on this scale. And then, you know, went to Safari and was like, oh my god, like, we can do this on this scale in this property with this lush green grass. And yeah, you know, Dragon Dreaming obviously is just another world. It's a dream, literally. Yeah, so what can I say? It's been such a big part of my life over the years. These days, I'm just trying to find a bit more of a balance. We've just done 3 events with this dome in December. Subsonic, crazy festival, by the way. Then Tribe Ascension, take a break for Christmas, and then we're back here for Art Valley. So, you know, it's been a lot. Definitely want to have just a bit of a break for a while. But it's been so much fun, you know. So, yeah.
What is the biggest problem in doofs, you think, or one of the common problems that doofs have that can be improved or made better?
Oh, God, yeah. This is another part which is hidden that people don't see. Okay, so for example, first of all, we have an organisers chat from when I was running doofs, which is still kind of going, where a bunch of organisers for different parties keep in touch about a range of things that go wrong, and like blacklisting people and stuff. And then that was mainly started because of like people that were being too creepy with girls. So yeah, at these events you can get a lot of people that, you know, they get on a lot of stuff, and their kind of inhibitions will lower, and then they can put themselves into spaces where they're like too much with girls, and they want to, you know, they make the girls uncomfortable, Um, that is something that you do unfortunately see. Um, so that's one problem. You know, I had Dance Wise at one of my events. They're really good at stuff like that. You know, they can educate people about sexual assault, boundaries. You can have talks on boundaries as well. I've seen a bunch of talks on boundaries and consent. When you're on drugs, you know, consent is something that like you need to like think about more. You need to consciously be like, okay, am I, you know, like trying to like push myself on someone too much because my inhibitions are lowered and I just, you know, I you know, feel a certain way. And so that's definitely a big thing, a theme which has happened with doofs in the past. The other thing is, you know, I just feel like generally it would be good to have more workshops as well, which is obviously one thing we've been doing with the Icosa space as well. It's just having the ability to do workshops, and that is how you take this from just a party to the next level of this is a lifestyle, this is a proper community, because we come here to have fun, but we also start working on ourselves. And ideally, what I would like is to like keep putting out meditations and practices so that people can actually like sort of get techniques to like change themselves and bring that into their normal lives, because that is the goal. Like, you can come here, you can have a good time, you can feel good, you can take that feeling back into the world, but also, you know, you need to be doing some sort of meditation or practice or exercise or activity, you know, or creative passion that can get you into that zone in your normal life. So that's one of the things with doofs. It can be very transient, and you know, you need to actively work a little bit more to take that energy back out into the world, and also to take those connections you meet with people and also meet up with them in the real world as well, to find a bit of that balance as well. Like, hey, you want to, you know, get a drink in Sydney, you want to hang out, like, you know, go to these parties in Sydney or whatever. So that's another thing in the doof scene, is like it can be very transient, but if you go to these enough, then it's no longer transient because it's your life, you know what I mean? And so then it's okay. So that's a strange balancing act. But if you've been coming to these long enough, you don't give a fuck. You see someone who you only see at doofs, and you can be friends with them. Like, okay, this is how it is between me and this person. I only see them at doofs, and I fucking love them. I connect with them with the doof. I'm not going to see them outside, but I love them in here. And if you do that enough, then that's what it is. It's a unique space, but yeah. So that's another problem. What else? Lack of organization in doofs as well is a big thing, especially with bush parties. You know, I've been to sites with no toilets. You know, you can kind of get away with it with some bush sites, but like you know, there's been events on like private properties with no toilets, which can sometimes happen if there's logistical errors or something, or you know, they don't bring enough water, they don't have enough lights on the dance floor, you can't see anyone, the sound is bad, like the speakers are not so good. Or another big one I see is when they don't have enough volunteers or crew members on the doof. It's a lot of it's all probably fueled from people that have big ideas but no experience. So they just try to do so much without bringing in all of those supplementary steps which keep all of the small aspects organized. Like but that's one of the advantages of us doing this dome as a modular thing, which is like we can bring crew along, and everybody just has like a role, and then we have shifts to monitor the dome. So everyone builds shifts to monitor the dome, change the movies, sell the snacks, whatever. And that's just our little part. That's our little doof. And then we go home. So there's definitely problems in the doof scene. And also the last thing I'll probably say is people getting too cooked, which happens a lot when there's a lot of younger people coming to the doofs. They can't handle the stuff that they're taking. Like even last night I met a bunch of, I don't know, like 19, 20-year-olds that it was their first doof. The guy had drunk a whole bottle of vodka, like 20 standard drinks, like a line of Ket, like We can talk about those things on this show, or
Yeah, we can. Well, I might have to cut it a little. Depends.
yeah.
Yeah, you talk.
What I'll say is I'll just say it generally. I'll just say it vaguely. People will, they'll do certain things and they just won't look after themselves, and then they'll learn like that, just like I did. We all learn about that balance. The more I doof, the more I learn about balance. This used to be like my life, and now it's like my normal life plus this is the cherry on top. That's how it should be. Save your brain receptors. Come doofing for special occasions. It's always going to be here. There's always going to be cool people here. But doing it every weekend or every second weekend probably going to wear you down a little bit. But but I'm 32 now, so that's probably why I'm saying this. So, but yeah, I love the doof scene. What can I say?
It's like basically like camping, but with all the other additions, like and the music mainly. Like what's not to like?
Yeah, what's not to love? Yeah, I know. I can't think of a better thing to do. Actually, it's very much what you would call a peak experience. It is, it's just full expression of self, like full creativity, like full connecting with others. Like, I spoke to these guys last night. It was their first doof, and he's saying, "Oh, I can't believe you come here. Like, when I go to my local parties, there'll be drunk people, like, just being dickheads, trying to start fights, like, whatever. It's a world of difference out there. Somehow we've created a thing with all these, like, nice people, and it's well, the doof shapes them. I think maybe a lot of people come into it and they're very, they're very guarded, and then you see them, 5 years later, and they're just full doof mode. So yeah, that's one of the biggest things about it. Yeah. So what's not to love? I totally agree, man. I mean, yeah.
And everyone seems to be very helpful at the doofs in general. Don't you think so?
Helpful? Yeah, for sure. Everyone's helpful to the other doofers as well. That's another thing. These guys said, whenever you meet someone, they're coming to their first doof. They say, "Oh, everyone's so nice. I can talk to anyone. They'll always help me out. Anyone's gonna lend you a tent peg, give you some water, look after you." Like, it is very much like a self-sustaining community. In a way, it's like a bit of a reflection of like a kind of like a Burning Man type thing. A very like vague reflection of those kind of principles. Come into the bush, you sort of survive, relatively self-sufficiency, and it's a community. Obviously Burning Man takes that to like way more levels above, but that's kind of what it's based on. It's based on the community side of it, and the main thing is when people come here, they realize, wow, this isn't just a party. It's something else. It's more than just a party. Like, people, they're buying these huge vans, like they're buying these crazy camper trailers because they want to do this. They want to keep doing this. It's a way of life. Like, what else would you rather do? And this nature as well. That's the other thing. Get a chance to come into nature. I mean, yeah, who doesn't love some nature, especially coming from Sydney, So what I've always said about doofing is it ticks all the boxes. You get the friending, you get the, you can get like intimate relationships with other people as well, like romantic. You can get the dancing, you get the feeling good. I don't know if I said nature already, but I'm going to say it again. You get the nature, which, you don't get a chance to come out into nature. You can go on bushwalks. You can go swimming. Oh, that's the best when you go to a swimming spot. It does tick all the boxes. Yeah, heaven on earth.
Oh, thank you for sharing your insights about your experience in doofing from various perspectives, as organizer, as punter, as a DJ. Anything else that you would like to add to this?
Look, maybe what I would say is for anybody who's watching this who hasn't come to a doof before, definitely give it a go. The psytrance may scare you for a while, but it's like red wine. It's an acquired taste. You warm up to it. I didn't like psytrance when I first heard it, and now I don't want to dance to anything else really. And step out of your comfort zone. Come and experience a doof for the first time. Come and get involved, and it could change your life. Yeah. And also, thank you for doing this show, man. It's been really entertaining. I like your little insights into the doof scene. That's another thing, you know, showing the people behind the people behind the madness. Yeah, it's doing a good service.
Thank you. Well, and thank you everyone for watching, because this is why I am doing it and why we are doing it, an interview for you to watch. So hope you learn some useful things for you, and yeah, come doofing and experience this thing.
Make sure you check out Liquid Professor, Solid Professor, and Solic Records, by the way. Oh, and also, if you want to follow our Dome Space, actually I said this in our other video, but I'll say it again. It's Icosa Dome Space on Instagram. We like to post snippets from different things and upcoming events. So you can give us a follow there if you want to see what's going on. And yeah, thanks for having us. Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you. Yeah, and maybe also if you experienced this, don't share your experience. Put some comments of how it was a memorable experience for you, and for me it was. Cheers. All the best.